Hello student, we are going to start today with the first lecture of the course Modeling and Simulation of Electrical Machine. So the course code is EE741 and the total credits for this course is 5 and 4 credit are for theory and 1 credit is for practical. So total you will have 4 lectures per week and 1 laboratory session. Okay, the syllabus copy I will share with you via email, but in the syllabus there are total 6 chapters, and out of 6 chapters 3 chapters will be taken by me, and this chapter includes the modeling and simulation of 3 different rotating machine, and they are DC machine, induction machine and synchronous machine. Okay, so before starting with the modeling and simulation of these machine, today we are just going to recall some of the basic phenomena of these rotating machines. Okay, and as it is in the name of the subject, modeling and simulation, so first of all you need to know what is the difference between modeling and simulation. Okay, so in the modeling actually you have to make a physical model in the software. It can be dynamic model like the mathematical modeling of something. Okay, and you have to join some of the blocks. Suppose if it is a MATLAB platform, then you need to join some blocks. You need to take some output in terms of scope in the waveforms or some numerical output. Okay, while in a simulation what happens, you have one ready-made module in which you just have to enter the numerical values and you will get numerical values as output or maybe in a graphical manner. Okay, and in simulation you do not have to prepare any model, you don't have to join the blocks in the software, but instead you just need to enter the numerical values of some of the parameters. Okay, so let us recall some of the basic of the machines, electrical machines. So these machines you have already studied in your bachelor program. Okay, you may have studied electrical machine 1, electrical machine 2, electrical machine 3. Also you have already studied the design of these machines. Okay, but before going to the modeling and simulation, we will recall it. So there are lot of things which will be repeated over here in this course, but their notations will be different. Okay, so let us start with the first machine, that is a DC machine. Okay, so DC machine you already know it operates in both mode, motor and generator. Okay, you can operate it. Okay, so what are the basic parts of this DC machine? We can say that the DC machine would be the first machine that you would have studied in your electrical machine, the DC machine and the transformer. Okay, so in the DC machine the major parts are yoke, that is the outer body. Okay, then you will have a field pole. Okay, you will have windings also over there, field winding will also be there. Then there will be the air gap. Then you will have a rotating part. The rotating part is made up of armature and commutator. Armature and commutator will be there. Okay, and after that it will be connected to the brushes. Okay, so that you can take the output from the brushes if it is the generator. Okay, so these are some major part. Also there are some of the part which I have not mentioned over here. Okay, but we are just going to recall them. Okay, so yoke is the outer body. Okay, it is going to protect all the internal parts. Also it is acting as a reverse path for the plugs. The pole which is when excited produces the working flux. Okay, the armature is going to link with these flux. Okay, the commutator will take care of conversion from AC to DC or DC to AC depending on the and operation, if it is motor or generator, and brushes will be used to collect the current if it is generator, or the DC power will be fed to the brushes if it is a DC machine. Okay, so in both mode it can operate. Okay, and very easy operation is there. Okay, the second machine is induction machine. So before induction machine, we should know what is the transformer. So transformer operation, you already know there are two windings. Primary winding is there and secondary winding is there. Okay, like this, and they are separated by means of the core. Okay, primary winding, the supply will be given. Okay, so that it will be linked with the common core, which is mostly low reluctance path, and these plugs will be linked with your secondary winding. Okay, and secondary winding will also link with the same flux, and it will produce some kind of EMF, and the magnitude of this EMF will be dependent on the value of EMF that you have given over here. Okay, and there are a lot of similarity between the transformer and in a induction machine. So induction machine also we can say it is one kind of a transformer in which the primary winding, generally we call it stator, and secondary winding we call it rotor. Okay, the major difference is that the secondary winding in the transformer is stationary, while in induction machine we will make it rotating. Okay, otherwise the thing is almost same. The reluctance path over here, it is some iron core which is low reluctance path, while in induction machine the flux will flow from primary to secondary by means of a small air gap. Okay, from stator to rotor. Okay, so if we say that the major part of induction machine, then we will have primary winding, a stator. Okay, it will roughly look like this. Okay, we will have slot and tooth type of a structure throughout the periphery of the machine. Okay, over here the winding will be provided. Okay, the stator or stationary winding, and three-phase supply will be given to these. Okay, and over here we have rotor. There are two type of rotor: squirrel cage type of rotor and slip ring type of rotor. So the easiest one is a squirrel cage type of rotor, in which we have short circuited copper bars like this. Okay, and these bars are short circuited or connected to the end rings. Okay, it looks like a cage, that is why the name given is the squirrel cage type of rotor. Very simple structure. Okay, and it will be fitted over here. We do have one rotor core also. So this is about the rotor winding only. Otherwise, if we talk about the rotor core, it will also be a slot and tooth type of structure like this. Okay, throughout the periphery like this. Okay, and you can see the slots over here. Inside this slot we have to provide these short circuited heavy copper bars. Okay, and this can be the laminated structure also. Okay, to avoid the or to reduce the iron losses. Okay, another type of a rotor is a slip ring type of rotor. So in slip ring type of rotor, this core is common. Okay, same kind of a structure we are using. Okay, but the major difference is that we will not use this kind of a heavy copper bars or slip rings as a conductor, but instead we are going to use a three-phase distributed winding like this. Okay, for all three phases. Okay, and to the shaft we will have a 3 slip rings. Okay, brushes will be mounted over there. Okay, and these winding are taken out externally like this in external circuit. Okay, and through this external circuit, okay, these will be connected to variable resistances like this. So the purpose of these variable resistance is that it will provide a good starting torque to your slip ring type of a induction motor. Okay, and also it will be used for the speed control purpose. Okay, and the operation of a induction machine is also easy to understand, that when three-phase supply is given to the stator winding, a rotating magnetic field will be produced in the stator. Now imagine that this kind of a squirrel cage type of rotor is mounted over here, but initially it is at a steady condition, it is not rotating, but a three-phase supply is given so that a rotating magnetic field is there, and this rotating magnetic field will rotate at a synchronous speed given by 120 f by p, where f is the frequency, p is the number of poles, and this rotating magnetic field will be cut by these rotor bar or rotor conductors. Okay, so some EMF will be produced and some current will flow inside this, and the tendency of this current is to reduce the or to oppose the cause of its production, so that it will also produce some kind of a torque, and it will tend to rotate in the same direction, and it will try to minimize the relative motion between this rotating magnetic field and the rotor itself. Suppose supply is given and rotating magnetic field is there in the anti-clockwise direction, so that this rotor will tend to rotate in the same direction, so that it will try to achieve this synchronous speed ns. Okay, so in the same direction it is going to rotate, but it will not be able to achieve this synchronous speed. Okay, because only the speed difference, which is called the sleep, okay, that is ns minus n upon ns. Okay, n is the actual speed of the rotor, ns is the synchronous speed. Sleep must be there, otherwise the motor will not be able to rotate, because if speed of rotating magnetic field and the rotor itself becomes same or it becomes equal, there will be no relative motion over here. If relative motion is not there, the EMF will not be produced in the bar, these rotor bars, and current will not be there and torque will not be there. Okay, so always it will rotate at a speed lesser than the synchronous speed. Okay, so this is the thing with the induction machine operating as a motor. Okay, as a generator also it can operate. Okay, so how do it operate as a generator? So in the generator operation of an induction machine, okay, the construction is same. Okay, the only difference is the direction of power flow. In a generator we are not taking mechanical output, actually we are giving mechanical input, so we have to give mechanical input to the rotor, so that rotor tend to rotate. If rotor only rotates, okay, it will not produce any EMF if this winding or these poles are not energized. Okay, so by means of a capacitor bank you need to produce the voltage build up process. Okay, so that after that a proper value of the voltage will be generated over here, and it will produce some kind of EMF. Okay, so for induction machine this is the thing. Okay, if we talk about the motor, then it will not achieve the synchronous speed ns. So now there is a problem. So what if we want to produce the exactly synchronous speed? So induction machine will fail in that case. Okay, so for that we have one more machine called a synchronous machine, in which the operating principle is a little bit different than the induction machine. Okay, so third one is the synchronous machine. Okay, so if we see the construction of a synchronous machine, then this stator part is same. Okay, it is simply one iron ring with slot and tooth type of a structure. Okay, inside the slot we have three-phase distributed winding. Okay, because the basic thing in induction machine and synchronous machine when operating in as a motor is that they have to produce the rotating magnetic field which will rotate at synchronous speed 120 f by p. Okay, so we need the rotating magnetic field in induction motor also, we need it in a synchronous motor also, and it is produced by the stator itself. So stator structure is the same in a induction motor and in a synchronous motor. So this structure is same. Okay, however this rotor will fail to rotate at a synchronous speed. So that is why we need to change this structure. Okay, so in a synchronous machine we are changing this structure. We will not use squirrel cage type of rotor or slip ring type of rotor. Okay, we are going to use another type of rotor. Okay, so as a rotor of a synchronous machine, also we have two different type of rotor. One is salient pole type of rotor and another is non-salient pole type of rotor. Okay, and it will roughly look like this. If I draw a simple figure of a two-pole machine, okay, the rotor will look like this. Okay, this is salient pole type of rotor. Okay, and another will look like this. Okay, actually it is one kind of a circle. This is not a flat surface, this is circular. Okay, so for simplicity I have drawn only two poles. Okay, so this kind of a shape is there, and additionally we have to provide a field winding which will be connected by means of a DC source in case of both the machines, so that when DC supply is given, it is going to produce its own poles. Okay, so actually we want to make this rotor a magnet. Okay, it will not be simply one piece of iron. Okay, so that what will happen in the operation of a synchronous machine. Okay, so let us say this is the stator of a synchronous machine. When three-phase supply is given, okay, a rotating magnetic field will be produced. Let us say it is of n pole and s pole polarity as shown in the figure. Okay, so if we have this kind of a rotor over here, and suppose we have already excited it. Okay, there are various methods for excitation of this. Okay, and if we produce the poles like this, s pole and n pole like this, okay, then what happens? The n pole of the stator, s pole of the rotor will have strong magnetic attraction force. Similarly, n pole of the rotor and s pole of the stator will have strong magnetic attraction force. But this rotor is this rotating magnetic field is moving in certain direction, so that it will drag this rotor in the same direction and in a same speed. However, we need to take care that this strong magnetic attraction force should be able to rotate this rotor along with the stator. So it should be strong enough to rotate this entire inertia, plus if any load is connected to the shaft. Okay, only after that we can say that the machine is operating as a synchronous machine or synchronous motor. So this synchronous motor is not a singly excited machine, or it is not self started machine. Okay, it is doubly excited, means stator will require three phase AC supply and rotor will also require the DC supply, so that we can make it a magnet and the magnetic attraction will be there. Okay, so over here this magnetic attraction between stator and rotor is responsible for the rotation. Okay, so one more thing is there. The DC supply whatever we are giving to excite the rotor is a variable in the nature, and we call it excitation. We call it excitation. So this field winding will have some series resistance. Okay, so that we can vary the value of a field current IF, and depending on the value of a field current we can operate this motor in under excitation, over excitation, or normal excitation. Or in a simple word we can say that we can operate a synchronous motor with a lagging, leading, or unity power factor depending on our requirement. Okay, so the same machine can also operate in a generator mode also, and we call it a synchronous generator or alternator. Okay, so how these alternator will work? Okay, so The construction of a synchronous motor and synchronous generator is also same. There is not much difference. The same synchronous machine can be operated as a motor or as a generator. However, the major difference is in direction of the power flow. Okay, suppose I want to operate the same machine as a generator. Okay, so I need the stator structure like this. Okay, let us say we will have a rotor like this, the salient pole type of rotor like this. Okay, so initially as this is a generator, we need to give mechanical input so that it can rotate, plus we have to give the DC excitation also, so that some kind of pole will be generated. So that rotor is also having its own flux, it is having its own poles. Okay, so now this is some poles, it is having some axis, and as we are giving the mechanical input, the pole is rotating. Okay, so that the stationary conductors over here in the stator, they are going to cut this flux. Okay, and as they are going to cut the flux, they are going to produce some kind of EMF. Okay, according to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Okay, however, we need to make sure that the mechanical input is always available and the DC supply to the field poles or rotor pole is also available, and that will make the operation possible. Only after that we will be able to take any kind of EMF over here. And as far as this is open circuit, the output power will be zero. We cannot use that power. Okay, and also we can connect any kind of a load over here. Okay, it can be lagging, it can be leading or capacitive type of a load, or it can be resistive type of load. Okay, so that is the thing with the basics of this. Okay, now why we need to study these modeling and simulation of a electrical machine, or particularly this rotating machine, why we need to do the modeling? So presently the renewable energy sources, okay, or specifically if I talk about the windmill power generators, okay, they are going to make use of a induction generator. Mostly they are DFIG, doubly feed induction generator. Okay, or some of them are also using synchronous generator. So we need to study the construction operation of these generators, plus we should be able to make model, or we should be able to make the simulation of these machines, so that we can design such kind of a machine, and we can also design the control schemes for these machines. If we want to make any change in the operation, like if we want to take a maximum output from these machines, then what parameters we need to change. Okay, so those kind of a thing we can do by this modeling and simulation study. Okay, also there are a lot of other things like torque control of these machines, speed control of these machines. If it is used for windmill power generation, then also there are various control schemes like yaw control. Okay, it is also the control of a induction motor which is used for the movement of the nacelle, which is the biggest part or the head of your windmill power generator. There are some pitch angle controls in which the windmill blade will be controlled by means of a small machines. Okay, these are very small induction motors used for that purpose. Okay, there are some wind direction following devices which will give the signal to the induction motor, so that the head of your machine can or your windmill can be in the same direction of wind flow, so that maximum swept area will be there, and you can generate the maximum power. Additionally, there are some gear control systems. Okay, in that also the induction machines are used. Okay, if you are using DFIG, then also there are some control schemes for stator side and rotor side active and reactive power controls. So for all these kind of studies and analysis, we need to understand the modeling and simulation of electrical machines.